NileDesk Process Designer has a default start step for initiating processes and an end step for concluding them. In this example, we'll design a sales invoice process to demonstrate different steps and tasks. Let's get started. These are different types of steps and tasks to build a comprehensive process flow. Let's incorporate a decision step to determine whether the invoice amount exceeds $50,000. If it does, it should be approved by a manager. Otherwise, approval is not required. You can also use expressions to evaluate the decision. We will use a condition that if the grand total of the invoice is greater than $50,000, then it will execute yes, otherwise, it will execute no. To create a better view, align your design. We will create an approval step. If the decision returns yes, it will be approved by the manager. Let's rename the steps for better clarity. You can use a specific user, a user from a form field, a whole group of users, the initiator, the one who initiates the process, the initiator's manager, the step executor, the executor of any previous step, the executor's manager, and you can also use expressions to assign a user. We will choose our manager. You can also add more than one assignees, but we will add just a manager. In custom assignments, you can choose your user from your organization's users and from any datasets, and you can also use filters in it. For multi-assignment, you can assign to all assignees, assign to the least loaded, will assign to the user with the least load of documents, and round robin will assign to users one by one. Define your process response requirements. In the deadline section, you can set the deadline of the step and further define the action if the deadline is exceeded. You can also skip the step based on a specific condition in the start condition section. You can use expressions and conditions in it. Choose approved or reject responses in case of the step being skipped. Now, we will add a rejected process and step in case the manager rejects the invoice. This will reject and end the process. We will add more steps after approval. Since our process has split into two branches, one for when approval is required and the other for when approval is not necessary, it uses a junction to merge these branches. The subsequent steps in the process will be the same for both sides. The junction feature merges process branches, offering any option to proceed if any incoming branch finishes execution, such as when approval is not required or is already done, while the all option, waiting for all branches to complete, is not applicable in this scenario. Now, we will update the dataset for sold quantity for better tracking. We have the dataset for products, which has a field called sold quantity, so all items selected in the invoice will be added to the relevant item. Let's select the data source, whether from form data or from the form's any table. We will select update from form product, and the target dataset will be product. Define the update instruction, which could be update, add, minus, or multiply. Then, we define the target field to update and update from field, a static value, or an expression. We will use quantity field from form field. Then, specify the criteria on which field row to update. We will add a condition where the product's table product ID is equal to the datasnap's product ID. As we save the product ID in datasnap, this will update the dataset, where the form table's product ID is equal to the dataset's product ID. We can update first found record or update all record found in dataset. To skip a step, use an expression or a condition. Check this. If no record is found for this criteria, it will create a new row in the dataset according to your requirement. Now, we will add a task for Zapier Integration. This task will send your form data to a spreadsheet. There's also a video available for spreadsheet integration. Then, we will add a task to send a message. This task will send a message to our salesman. We will rename this step name. We have to add a recipient who will receive the email. In our case, it is the salesman, which we will get from the field salesman. Define your mail subject and body. We will get the invoice ID and customer name from our form field through expressions. At the end, we will add a last step to complete the process. Look, our process designer is ready. When a user creates and submits an invoice for processing, the start step is initiated. Then, it will proceed to a decision step to determine if manager approval is required or not. On decision step, NileDesk will automatically check if the amount of invoice is greater than 50,000 or not. If it will be 50,000, then it will follow this path. If the amount will be smaller than 50,000, then it will follow this path. If the amount is greater, the process will proceed to the manager approval step. If the manager rejects it, the process will be rejected and end without proceeding to any other step. However, if the manager approves it, the process will merge with the path where no approval is required. Then updating the dataset of the product to reflect the sold quantity step will be proceed. After this, the Zapier integration step will be executed to send the data to the spreadsheet. Subsequently, an email will be sent to our salesman. The update dataset, Zapier integration, and send message steps are tasks that will run automatically in the background. Finally, our process will arrive at the complete step, and the process will be completed.